very good morning here from the AIBC conference in Hungary, Budapest. I am here today with Janina Petrowska, partner from, let me see if I'm getting it right, the name of the company.
It's ZÜGERLAW.
Oh, ZÜGERLAW, that is right. So you're a partner at ZÜGERLAW. I am very happy to have you over here with me today. Thank you for making time for me. I have a couple of questions for you today, just to dig a little bit deeper into what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. So I'd like to start off with the very first question. Also comes with a statement. From what I understand, you have been instrumental in supporting blockchain projects in Switzerland and Liechtenstein since 2017. Could you share some insights on how the blockchain landscape has evolved in Eastern Europe over the past few years, and what emerging trends do you see in this region?
Sure. I mean, we've been doing mainly Switzerland and Liechtenstein, the German-speaking countries, so the Central Europe.
Sehr gut.
Thanks a lot. But we've been also, of course, observing where the projects come from. And traditionally, it has been like at least 20 to 30% of the developer teams. They somehow came from not even Eastern Europe, but the CIS countries, because they have a tradition of good math schools and universities, and that's why there's I would say quite strong developers. And I would say up to 30% of the teams come from this region. And talking about Eastern Europe, I have seen Slovenia developing as a hub, for example. And we've participated, I think it was done by CoinDesk, a large research on major crypto hubs last year. And a name, for example, Slovenia, but of course we should mention Estonia and Lithuania because they've been really advanced on regulation. And in general, becoming hubs for everything related to emerging tech, crypto, blockchain. What I've seen also, Bulgaria is also trying to do their best. And some of the countries each country, if their politicians, if the people who are developing the countries understand it, they compete for talents, they compete for people, for capital, and they try to create best regulatory framework, and at the same time becoming a hub for talents in terms of giving some special visas for developers, like nomad visas, or creating some special conditions to attract highly innovative businesses to their countries. And I would Estonia, Lithuania, Slovenia, Bulgaria. Maybe I'm not aware of some other countries. Maybe Hungary is also doing their efforts to become one of the hubs for those technologies. Let's see.
Okay. Thank you very much for this insight. I'd like to also ask, given your extensive experience in the financial law and capital market law, what are the biggest legal and regulatory challenges that crypto and blockchain projects face in Eastern Europe today?
Well, I hope that on the one hand, with MiCA, already this summer, Titles 3 and 4 regarding the asset reference tokens and the e-money tokens entered into application, and from the end of the year, we have all of the other titles in regard to the crypto asset services providers. On the one hand, it's good. We are going to have uniform regulation for the whole Europe. But on the other hand, what we had so far in Europe, this fragmented regulation, when some of the countries didn't have no regulation at all, and some of the countries had their national licenses, like Estonia, Lithuania, Liechtenstein, Malta, Gibraltar. It was good in a way because it allowed a lot of projects to operate more or less safely with lower entrance barriers that they are going to have under MiCA. So on the one hand, it's going to be easier for a lot of projects from Eastern Europe to enter the market under MiCA. On the other hand, MiCA barriers are quite high.
Thank you. Thank you. No, that's wonderful. However, you've successfully structured numerous projects involving tokenization or real-world assets like real estate and commodities. What unique opportunities and challenges do you encounter when tokenizing assets in East Europe, and how do you address the concerns of investors and regulators?
Well, if we talk about tokenization, we are going to have a major panel on that. I always have to point out to Web3 people, we are actually using the good old concept of securitization. In the core of the tokenized financial instruments are the normal financial instruments under MiFID as we know them. Of course, tokenization gives a lot of opportunities to create new kind of financial instruments, to make it faster, easier with clients onboarding, etc. But still, at the core, it is the same. And the opportunities in Eastern Europe are both for, on the one hand, a real estate market, because they are still not really emerging market, but still growing market compared to Central Europe. And also for businesses which are located here, which are doing fundraising, they also can use tokenization to do fundraising. So on the one hand, there are lots of opportunities. On the other hand, of course, they have to structure it the right way. Not all of the European countries have the special national legislation which allows to issue dematerialized securities on blockchain. Liechtenstein, for example, does. I guess Luxembourg has also introduced a new legislation. Switzerland has, like Switzerland, Liechtenstein, we are advanced. We have this legislation since 2020, but not all other countries have. And the question is, if you issue those securities on the blockchain, what happens in the worst case scenario? Will the judge, I don't know, in Hungary say, yes, these securities have been issued? Or will they say, what the hell is blockchain? And there has not been nothing issued, or how they will treat it. It's uncertain. The term is called legal uncertainty, where you don't know how the judge will treat it in a worst case scenario. And I would still suggest to those who would like to do those real world asset tokenization projects to go to the countries where there is legal certainty, where there is national laws in place which allow to issue dematerialized securities on blockchain.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. With your involvement in impact investing and SDG projects,
yeah.
How do you see blockchain technology contributing to sustainability and social impact initiatives in East Europe? And can you provide examples of successful projects or collaborations?
Sure. I mean, but blockchain as technology allows. I'm not an expert, of course, but what I know, I always have to take a look at the back end of the project that we do to understand what's going on from a technical perspective. It allows to have registries of transactions, just to record every transaction which happens, and then it is impossible really to delete it. And this is good, for example, for registries of so-called carbon credits. You have heard of that, because this has been a major trend, I guess, mostly in developed worlds, where people in developed worlds pay money to people in not developed world for growing trees, so that we can continue polluting. Sorry for putting it this way.
Somehow. It's fine.
It's fine. It's really. I still have my Slavic soul, so I really put things straightforward and direct. But this is actually, in my perception, it is still good, because
it's also an eye opener. I mean.
Yeah, and it is still a good thing if it is done in the right way, because some of the projects, it's a lot of greenwashing, of course, because some of the projects, they claim that they invest in those tree growings, but then they do not really supervise projects on site, or they do not share the profits with the local communities the way that it would be sustainable.
And they usually end up dropping.
A lot of. So it is really an emerging market. And on the one hand, it works the way right now that large corporate buyers, large polluters purchase those carbon credits without them being tokenized. But I believe that the next stage of those projects, of those carbon credits, is to have normal markets, and it works perfectly with tokenization. We've supported a number of projects which I'm not allowed to mention in public. And I have seen also that it works well, for example, with energy production from, let's say, sustainable sources like wind or solar panels. I have seen projects which try to use tokenization to source energy mainly from those sources. So these are a couple of use cases that I've been involved with that I know that blockchain works well for those use cases.
I keep my fingers crossed for this, and I really hope it works. So, as a thought leader and speaker at various prestigious events, how do you envision the future of fintech in East Europe? And what key innovations and developments do you anticipate will shape the industry in the next 5 years?
Well, I mean, I really have the overview mainly, of course, of the parts of the market where I'm involved. If we talk about Eastern Europe, I believe it is still not that developed at the Western Europe in terms of fintech. Though, even if we talk about, I mean, Switzerland and Liechtenstein, for example, are considered to be well-developed countries in terms of banking. But if I am honest, even those fintech banks, it doesn't work fast and efficient as, for example, with Revolut, which is one of the most well-known fintechs, unicorns. And I think that there is both space in the Eastern European countries and in the Western, in Central Europe too, because the banks which are there, they're not moving that fast as startups, as fintechs are. They claim to be crypto-friendly, they claim to be fintech banks, but when it comes to operations and scaling, you can forget it. You always go, that's what I've been just discussing with your colleague, that if you do a tokenization project, you cannot really do directly a bank accept funds from those small token purchases. You always have to have in between payment service providers. A bunch of them are here at the conference. I'm going to talk to all of them. You always have to have additional layer of fintechs, payment services providers, and only then banks, because banks are unable to digest this amount of small payments. So there is, I believe, lots of opportunities on that market still.
Super. And as you said very, very well, they're all here at the conference. So I'm very, very sure that they will be doing a lot of integration, hopefully also a lot of knowledge building, just to simplify the coming future.
Yeah.
Our final question for today, Janina. Here at AIBC Europe, East Europe, what can you say about this event, and how do you think this will impact the space in the region?
Well, it is a huge event. I have to be honest, this is one of my first gaming-related events. I mostly go to blockchain or emerging tech conferences, which are a little bit different from the gaming focused. It seems to be like really, really big, and I believe if Hungary is going to or willing to become a hub in Eastern Europe or one of the hubs, this is one of the opportunities for them to have those events regularly being held here, and creating some internal regulations, some kind of investment climate and conditions to attract those projects here.
I truly believe this. I mean, Hungary has long been a bridge between East and West.
Yeah.
Okay, so creativity and entrepreneurship is at an all-time high. And with this being said, I am more than sure that this will raise a lot of awareness, and it will adopt a lot of it also in this region. So I am happy to say I'm comfortable to see this actually evolving very, very soon.
Okay.
Janina,
Nice.
It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much for giving me time out of your very busy schedule to come here and elaborate what it is you guys are doing. So I wish you happy networking, and make sure to catch her panel very, very soon on our conference stage. Janina, again, it's a pleasure.
Thank you a lot.